Hi guys, it's me. Thought I'd say hi quickly before we started doing a demo. And I also thought I would show you a couple of beads before we started too. So here we go. I'm going to reverse this. There we go. So I brought some of my, oops, I probably shouldn't go sideways with this. I wanted to show you some that are some of the new Sim glass colors. That pretty colors. I haven't cleaned them yet. They're for a future show. And look at these colors. Isn't that gorgeous? You see that? Pretty colors. New colors here too. More creationist messy colors. I added the silver and the dichro. Part of being a tester is we get to try using them the way we would normally use them if that's what we want. And so that's what I do. Let me grab another one. This one is that Pacamama or something like that that gives you all those different colors. And then this is a different color here. Hi, Christy. Hi, you guys. This one is really interesting. They have a lot of colors that are very, very translucent. And this is a very pale pink. I thought, well, a pig, what the heck? And this color was one that looked like it was a translucent white, but it came out gold, which was quite a surprise to me. Let's see some more. Oh, this is their new goldfish color. You can see that is really pretty orange. And let's see, oh, some of my seahorses are some of their new colors also. There's some real pretty colors out there. See the pink and the aquas also, as well as the deep blue. And some of these mermaid tails are the new colors too. Lots of translucent colors. I think these are really pretty too, this little bottom. And sorry, I haven't cleaned them yet, but you kind of get the idea. The translucency, here's another one too. So that's it. The little goats are not the new ones, but there's some beads to show you. And now I am going to hook you up right here. And this is on my hood vent, my cell phone. So I hope that works. And don't forget, while I'm demoing, you are welcome to talk amongst yourselves. So let me just move this out of the way. And we can get started. Let's get this lit. You know, I'm still kind of deciding what I wanted to do. You know, I think I just kind of like the idea of us getting together and this social thing where we're distant. It just feels weird to me, even though we normally are this way. I just wanted an excuse for everybody to get together, and feel free if you get bored or something, chat amongst yourselves. I am so totally cool with that. Just want everybody to have a good time. Let's see, I'm grabbing some white, some green. I think can you see all my colors over here? I have a whole bunch of stringers that I keep to the side here, and I just am grabbing a couple of them. I like purple and green together. Okay, and we need a little black. We're going to just make a little bunny because it's that time of the year. We sit down. And my phone, which is recording, is above me, so I cannot see what you're saying and stuff. So I'm just going to do my best to, I'll check you later. How does that sound? And then I can answer questions, but feel free to talk amongst yourselves and enjoy things. Let's see. And don't forget to post your name, who's here and stuff, just so I know. So I've got an Effetre white right here, and these are some stringers. Hang on just a sec. This is, oh heck, I have no idea. It's some encased stringer because I encase most of my stringer, and it probably has ink blue in it. And some plain old black, And this is multi-shades of green. I don't know whether you can see that's encased also. When I'm doing leaves and stuff, I like to do a little line. I'm not sure whether you can see that line there of black. And this, usually what happens is I have a whole bunch of short pieces over here, probably, hopefully off camera so you can't see my mess. You probably can see it anyhow. And so I keep those little pieces, and then those go into stringers and encased stringers and all kinds of stuff. And let's see, okay, I got some black, this, ready to roll. Let's melt some glass. So this is a 332 mandrel. I'm a lefty, as you can probably tell, Effetre white. And I don't use tons of tools. It's kind of, I use some, it depends on what it is. I use some presses like for wings and things like that. But basically, I don't use a whole lot. And I didn't heat up my blue Dip and Go bead release quite as much as I should have. Have you ever gotten some little bubbles in your glass, especially with white? If you heat up your bead release just a tiny bit more, those tend to not happen quite as often. So I'm just making a base bead to start for the bunny's body. Say that 10 times fast. And I picked this because it's kind of bunny season. I was looking to see what are typical spring decorations, and they tend to be eggs and Easter and bunnies and chicks and stuff like that. So I thought, let's do that, because I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little tired with everything that's going on in the world these days, and getting something to take my mind off it is kind of a nice change of pace. I get a little bit sad, and so it's good to make whimsical beads. So what I did was I made a base bead and I flattened it slightly on two sides, and then I'm adding glass to the ends of each side. And what I'm doing is I'm watching the color, because when you have white, when it is hot, it turns transparent. So I'm watching the color on it as I'm working, and depending upon which way I want the glass to go, if I want it to sink down a little bit more, I hold the hot part up so that it sinks in. If it's too thick and I want it to get thinner, I'll hold it so that it sinks down that way. And my glasses are sliding around on me today, so if you see me putting my rod down, you know that my glasses are falling down my nose. It got warm here in Atlanta for a change, which is really, really nice. But my studio is pretty warm because of it. Okay, so what we're doing is we're starting a body. And Zeus has decided to come in and join us. He never comes in, but today he decided. I guess he heard me talking and figured he was missing out on something. So he's walking around below me. If you hear me make any weird noises, it's probably my cat instead. Luckily, I just swept. Yeah, he's making noises. Can you hear him? He doesn't like it when the attention isn't on him. So I'm just adding back and forth. And that's how you get a horizontal bead. Well, that's how I get a horizontal bead. And we're just adding it on, and I'm watching not only the color, but how well it connects to the other glass. And I'm see how it's going from transparent to translucent to opaque. That's what I want to see. So we're going to make this a smallish bunny, which means the body's going to be about that size, and we're going to add some legs and a neck and forearms and stuff, but I usually tend to start with the back legs, and this is pretty much the same, so it doesn't matter which side I use. This looks a little bit larger, so I get a small gather of glass and I push it on. I'm watching the color, and then I'm just pulling it slightly forward, tiny bit, and I'm holding it. See, I'm watching it change colors, and then I'll flame cut it off and let that cool. We see it going from transparent to translucent. You can watch it as it's cooling down. Make sure the rest of my bead is warm enough. But I just want a little bit of heat in it. This white is really nice about holding the heat. And it's nice and gooey. I like working with the gooey glass. Do the same thing on the other side. So a hot gather, I'll let it cool a little bit, get it spread out where I want it, and pull it forward just a tiny bit. And I'm gonna let it cool. We're watching it cool here. Slowly. Here we go. And then we'll flame cut it. Bloop. Is that called the Dairy Queen twist? Okay, so we've got, those are the thighs. And we're gonna put just a little glass up here for the neck. Melt it on. I let it cool a little bit, and I wanted this to sink down and be wider. That's why I did that, and it started cooling enough that I want a nicer connection. This, see how it's not connected well? You can see where it was connected. So I hold it underneath the flame, and I let it smooth out just a tiny bit, and hold it whichever direction I want the glass to flow. And I let it cool a tiny bit, because I don't want to be dealing in mush. And I'm holding it upside down because I want the glass to flow that way. And it did. See how we've got a smooth connection there and there? This can use a little better connection. So I'm going to heat up just above where I want the glass to flow, and I'm holding it in the direction that I want the glass to go. And you can see that we have a much smoother connection there. Now we'll do the same on the back. And I'm heating just above the thigh, and see how it smooths out? So much prettier that way when you take a little bit of extra time. Sometimes you want to see the connections, so you leave them, and sometimes you want to smooth them out. Okay, we're going to put a basic head on, and it's not going to be the head that we're going to go finally with. It's just kind of a basic shape, and we'll finesse that more, but I like to have that on before I do the forearms. So, I'm heating up some glass. I'm going to heat up where it connects. And I'm going to plop it right on there. I push down a little bit. I'm going to turn it upside down just a touch so it doesn't all fall down. And then we'll come back again. If you aren't a member of my group on Facebook, it's called Glass Art and Beads by Marcy Lamberson. Oh, I know, it is such a creative name. Feel free to join. It kind of talks, if I have spare beads to sell and stuff, usually I show them there first and give the members first choice. And once in a while I do them on my personal page, but usually I do them in that group first. So there we go. See, that's you kind of want a basic egg shape for the head. Now we can go and get the front legs. Isn't it amazing how fast this goes? And you can see this shape. It looks kind of weird at first, but you know, you get some ears on, some eyes, a couple of things, and bada boom, it looks just like what you were planning. So I heated where the glass is going to go, and it's a smaller gather. And I push down, and I'm letting it cool a tiny bit before I pull it out. Pull it down. I'm letting it cool. See how I made that little joint in there? But I have to let it cool before I flame cut, because if I flame cut it too soon, see how it's almost opaque? If I flame cut it too soon, then it's just going to flop all over the place. And I try to flame cut below where I want to go, but sometimes I just have to add a little extra on afterwards. So give me a sec. It's cooling, and it's cooling in the direction I want that glass to go. So we've got the elbow joint and a little bit of a paw that way. If we want to, it's cool enough now because it's nice and opaque that we can take that out. But sometimes I'll do the second arm before I take that out, just to be sure that everything's cooled. Okay, so let's do the other side. Isn't it funny how quickly it can take shape? If I weren't talking, it would go a lot faster. But it's kind of nice to have things explained to you as you go. Okay, we're heating up where we're attaching. always makes a better connection. And I'm dropping it down. I'm pulling it a little bit. I'm letting it cool. I'm watching the color. Then I'm going to make a joint and pull up. See how we're getting that? And we're going to flame cut. And sometimes there's not enough and you end up having to add a little more. That's not a problem at all. But while that's cooling, go back and heat up some of the areas that you haven't been paying attention to. We're pretty close here. I can pull that out. This is a little slimmer. We've got to keep that warm too. So if I heat up the end here, I can pull that out a tiny bit. And we'll just hold it in place for a sec while it's cooling. Sometimes I'll connect the two of them together and it's just a little bit sturdier that way. Okay, while that's cooling, we'll go back and heat up the areas that we haven't been paying attention to. Let's see. Well, that's pretty good. We'll see at the very end. Okay, so we haven't done the back of his legs and his feet or the tail, but we can get some ears in place, but we aren't going to pull them out quite yet. We're just going to put some big dots on there. So I'm going to heat up where the dot's going to go. And it goes way in the back of their head. I push down, pull up, and hold. And again, I'm watching the color. And if you pull it out a little bit, that's fine because you're going to be reheating it and mashing it anyhow. So and if you don't get enough, go back and add a little bit more onto it. So I was letting that cool a tiny bit. There's the connection. It's on that half of the head. Just connecting it a little bit more, the joint a tiny bit, and while that's cooling, we'll go back and heat up the paws because the paws are pretty slim and they'll cool off fast. Okay, so we've got this much left on my rod. I think we can do it in one rod. Let's heat up and add another ear. And the whole time you're watching to see where you're putting that flame. You want the flame to hit certain places and you want to be specific in where it's hitting. So I'm watching it cool and hopefully you're able to watch it too. See how it's changing color? White is so much fun to teach with. I know it's not exciting like some of the other colors, but you can learn a lot by watching it when you work with it. Okay, see the color changing? Once it goes opaque, then you can flip things around with your heat. But when it's still translucent and when it's transparent, you've got to be really careful. Okay, so we've got some basic ears, head, front paws, thighs. We still need to add this in feet. Let's do a little bit of the face. Now, I have some pokers, and we're going to keep it real simple. We're just going to do a simple dot for an eye. I like to make indentations. We're keeping this one simple this time. And I'm just indenting a little bit, and we're going to do the same on the other side. I heat it up, check to see where the other one is. Try to get it pretty close. That's easy, isn't it? And we need to add a little black dot for the eyes. So this is just a thin black stringer, and what I like to do is keep my bunny warm, heat up a little bit of my bead release far away from the rest of it, and just pull it out thinly. And then I'll heat up where the black dot goes, heat up a little bit of black. And I don't know about you, but as I'm getting older, I get a little shakier, so it's really nice to use my torch-mounted marber for that. Just heat up where it's going, heat this up, and boom. I was lucky. I got it on the first try. Sometimes I go, and then I'm very embarrassed as I'm demonstrating and my hand shakes and I miss it. Okay, so I like to put a little bit of pink on the ear, and this is my desert pink from Creation is Messy, which is not made anymore and that I covet. If anybody has some that they aren't using, I would love to buy it from you. However, with the new pinks that are coming out, I think they're going to have something that's the equivalent. And one of the things that I've been looking at is how does it work on ivory? Because a lot of the pinks, when they get on ivory, because of the chemical combinations, react and you get that kind of grayish line that isn't so pretty. And this desert pink doesn't do that. And when I've been testing the new pinks, I have not seen that yet with the other creationist messy pinks. So I'm rather excited about that, to be honest with you. Okay, so I just did a little line there, and I'm going to do another little line here. And we're going to squish that in a minute also, so I had to add that to another color. Before we do that, let's add let me backtrack just for a sec. I haven't done the back legs because they stick out pretty far and they're pretty slim. They're likely to break off. But because I'm working around the face, I go ahead and do the front paws. They're easier to keep warm, as are the ears and stuff. But once you have the legs sticking out a ways, then they're more fragile. So I do those more towards the end, and I work in the area where it's more concentrated and easier to keep things warm. I just thought if I told you why I'm doing things, it probably will help. So while I'm telling you things, I thought maybe we would do the little wreath around its neck. I like to do little wreaths and berries. And it's just a series of pulled dots and regular dots. So what I do is I think, how am I going to photograph this? Which sounds kind of funny, but it's realistic because I sell online. And advertisement time, my next show is April 14th through 16th, I think, in Artisans Open Market. Of course, you're all invited. I'll be selling beads there. So what I do, I figure when I take a picture of this, I like this angle. I think you can see that angle. So I know that I want to be sure that my leaves look good here and on the other side, and then I fill in on the back a little bit. In the front, I would probably do a photographic shot also. So I kind of look that way to decide how I'm going to put its neck wreath on. So I just put on little fat dots in each direction, and I pull them out a tiny bit. You add a couple little berries in there, and you could stop there, but I'm going to add another little one in between here, below his neck. And in the interim, we got to keep it warm. So heat up the paws, heat up the back end, let some heat sink into it. Ears, everything, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Okay, and so I've got one other space. I'm just adding a final little leaf in there. Okay, so we're done with the green now. And we can add a couple little berries in. And that's why I do cased glass, because then they don't run together quite as easily. And I like this a little thinner, so we're going to go back to what I was doing before with the black and just pull it out a little thinner so that my dots are a little bit smaller. And I just paused a second so that it would stick straight out and not flop down. Okay, so a couple little dots on each of these. I like doing dots and threes. I don't know about you. You need to pull out a little bit more. So I heated it up and I'm pulling it thinner, warming up my bead in between, especially the ears and the front paws. Those are the slimmest ones, so they need it the most. I got some purple berries here. Let's add some on this side. 1, 2, 1 more, so I like them in threes. Bunny likes it, can bring us lunch with them. Any of you ever have those necklaces when you were a kid, the candy necklaces and bracelets that you could snack off of? I always picture the bunny wreath kind of like that, that if they were real, they could eat it. Okay, let's get them warm. You know, as you get going, you have to kind of just make sure you keep everything warm. And let's see, I'm going to add one more dot on the back. Just a little more purple for the back side. Now we're done with the purple also. And we're heating up the bunny. Let's make the ears. So I use a tool. There it is. I have a big magnetic bar right above us, so I'm pulling tools down off of it. So this is a concave convex plier, and Jennifer Geldard was the one that taught me about this years ago, and she was using it for ears and a lot for petals, and it makes wonderful petals, but I tend to use it more for ears because I don't do as many flowers. So what I want to do is mash it, and I want to make sure that the pink blends in with the white. So I'm holding it on an angle so that when it starts flopping, it's not going to flop into the mandrel. And I'm very carefully squishing and pulling back. This is the time that you can adjust it wherever you want it to go. And then I heat it because using the tool will soak up some of the heat that was in the glass, and it cools it down. So I got the pink pretty much down the middle, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll heat it up and pull it and make it longer. We can leave it like this for right now. Okay, so let's do the other side, the other ear, and you notice that sometimes I'm holding things and it looks a little bit awkward. Well, you get used to it, but the nice thing is that you're heating exactly where you want to heat it. My cat is making noises. He does not like that we're doing this without him. Let's add a little pink nose on the end here too. And I'm just going to do a dot here. We aren't going to get fancy. If you wanted to, you could do like a little X for the shape, an X like this with a razor or something, and that would look cute. Sometimes I add a little bit of 2 dots right below it, but not today. I'm happy with the purple. You can see the purple berries a little bit better. So what we're going to do is just do our best to keep them warm and add some legs and feet and a tail. Let's add a tail right now while we're thinking about it. A dot. You can always add more if you accidentally melt it in a bit. It's okay. So to add the legs, we're going to heat up where we're attaching it, which is right there. We're going to heat up enough glass to pull out a little bit of the leg. We're going to touch, wait a sec, and then gently pull just a little bit out. And we're watching the color again, aren't we? I know. And you thought it was all fun and rock and roll doing this, didn't you? Where we're actually just watching colors all the time. But that's heat control for you, you know, and it just makes it a whole lot easier. See how we got the leg attached? Once it cools enough, you can make sure that your connection looks good by giving it just a little shot of heat. Any of you commenting, telling me that you're here, telling others about how you're doing, being isolated a bit? Everybody got enough groceries and toilet paper and all that fun stuff? I tried buying groceries online and having them delivered, and I found that I need practice at that. I thought I was getting a pound of apples and one showed up. My poor husband, he really loves apples. Okay, so I touched and I'm holding it and I'm watching the color change because it's got to cool enough. And then we're flame cutting. Don't forget, you can always add some more onto the end or the side or whatever you need. So in between, did you notice how often I go back and heat things up? A lot, isn't it? So I just shot where the knee is, added a little bit there, and now we're going to add some feet onto the end. I like the length there, which is a little bit longer than this, so I'm going to add a tiny bit here first. Make sure it connects well, hold it the direction that I want the glass to go, and watch it cool a little bit. We're going to add some biggish feet because I think that's cute. What we're doing, we're almost there. And I was thinking, you guys, should we do this pretty often? Kind of like get together and melt some glass, and if other people want to do it too, they're of course welcome to do it. I thought it might be kind of fun. Oh, of course I don't have, oh, there it is. I have this really old stump shaper. Look how it's falling apart. But I use it a lot. Let me just heat up the bunny before I use it though. Because at this point, if you don't keep it warm, you're in trouble. Okay, so I connected a foot. I need to get that connection nice. And what I do is I heat up the actual foot itself and just push it into place where I want it to go. And then I heat the bottom of it and I try and indent it just a little bit with my stump shaper with the rounded section on it. See how it adds just a little bit of a roundness back there? I don't know whether it makes a difference, but I don't know. I think it does a tiny bit. Okay, let's keep the bunny warm. And we have one more foot to add, don't we? Now sometimes I'll add a little pink on the bottom. We'll see. And we still have this much of the rod. Doing great. So I've got the heat up where it connects. I'm going to put a dot on it. Push up just a tiny bit so it has like a little bit of a heel, and then I can slowly pull it out a tiny bit, and then flame cut, and let's heat it up while that's cooling a bit, and then I can manipulate it afterwards. Heat up every part of it. Okay, so let's connect it well. Get all those connection points out of the way. And then we can take my trusty old stump shaper and just kind of push it where we want it to go. Heat the very back and see whether we can indent it just a bit. And sometimes I'm pushing the toe against my torch-mounted marver while I'm kind of pushing with this rounded part to give it a little bit. See how it gives it that rounded section there? Okay, so we are really close. Now I do have a razor blade somewhere. Here's my old one. If I want little paws on the front, what I do is I heat up one paw at a time, just a little bit. And I'll use my razor blade just to kind of indicate some paws. I heat it up just a tiny bit. Razor blade, we'll give it a little bit of heat, and voila, you have a bunny. And my friends, that is a live demo for today. Whoops, dang on, I turned it off before I took out of the flame all the way, and we need to get that soot off real fast. There we go, had to erase it. It's erased. So, thank you for joining me. It was so nice of you. I appreciate it. Leave me some messages if you have any questions. Once I turn off this and end this video, then what I'm going to do is post it to my Facebook page so you can go back and watch it again if you want to try making it yourself. I hope you do. And send me a message or post on my page and show me what you made. And I hope to do this again soon for you. And until we meet again, which is always online, thanks so much. I'm so glad you came. See you later. Bye.